Hi everyone. It's a glorious day here in Shropshire in the UK, if a little blustery. So I thought I'd take the opportunity to make a start at clearing my beds for winter and help increase the soil health at the same time. So if you're interested in doing that, then continue watching. Normally for winterising my curtain patch beds, I clear them from any of the annuals that have been grown that year and cover it with compost and leave it and that means it's ready in the spring. Now in the last 15 months or so we have had very wet weather consistently and as a result the slug population has increased massively, and I had a major problem with that, eating all of my annuals in the spring or in the summer this year, and so I don't really want that to happen again. Now you may think, well, how is that got anything to do with the soil health? Having good soil means that plants grow stronger and therefore they can resist an attack better. So I really want to focus on improving the soil, but I don't want to encourage more weed growth, and I don't want to put down the weed membrane again for longer than necessary to avoid that weed growth, because I do think that was just perfect breeding ground for the slugs. So what I'm going to try this year is a cover crop, and that kind of goes hand in hand with the no-dig gardening that I'm doing, in that the concept of no-dig and cover crops and regenerative farming practices as a whole is that you don't disturb the soil. The soil is left fairly consistent underneath, and the microorganisms and bacteria and everything else all form a lovely network that helps distribute nutrition to the plants that are growing in it. So I want to clear out the beds from the annuals because they will die in the cold, and therefore you haven't got, the soil isn't trying to keep a living plant alive, and therefore those microorganisms don't work as efficiently. So I will be cutting the annuals down to the ground, leaving the roots in the soil so it's not disturbing anything. They will slowly decompose, as is the way with all of these things. And I will plant a cover crop. The theory is that the cover crop grows, covers the soil, so preventing weed growth, and then come spring you terminate that crop prior to it generating its own seeds, so you don't create a further problem with that particular plant. So you terminate it, creating a mulch or digging it in, but as we do no dig here, it will be creating a mulch. That mulch will slowly decompose into the soil, adding extra goodness at that point in time. And then at that point in time, I think I will be covering it with compost as well, so garden compost that I've got. So I'm just delaying putting the garden compost down, which I normally would be putting down now, until the spring. So probably sometime end of March, April time, I will be doing this termination and covering it in compost. But the idea now is to clear out the beds, sow the cover crop and just let it germinate. So let's crack on. Well, I have cleared out the soil of the plants that I don't want to keep. I have a few herbs in this area that I'm going to maintain until they naturally die anyway. And I have raked over the surface, and I have to say the soil is looking pretty good. It's the best it has ever looked, I think. That end over there was a bit clumpy, so I've kind of levelled it off, and now I'm ready to sow the seeds. I have 3 different cover crops I'm going to try, and I'll try them in different beds, not all 3 in the same one. So I have comfrey, and I bought comfrey because it makes a good feed, and I don't think I have any in the garden, so I just wanted to make some, so I've got some of that to at least make a comfrey tea next year. I have borage and I have Facilia. I think that's how you would say it. So I have 3 seeds. I will use them on different beds so we can see if there's a difference. And really all you need to do is sprinkle them lightly, tamp them down, I believe, and leave them to it. It is getting towards the end of October here, and theoretically, well not theoretically, it's advisable to plant them late summer. So I don't know whether late October can be classed as late summer, but I'm giving it a go. So I may have missed the boat. But as it stands, everything's looking good here. If these don't grow, and in the next, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks, I might do what I normally do, put a compost layer down, cover it and leave it at that for the winter. Let's live on hope here. We are going to get these seeds germinating. So I'm going to try, I think, comfrey in this one. So I am just going to get a small amount in, well actually I only have a small amount. Maybe I will plant multiple in here because there's not an awful lot here. What does it say? I think they could get big plants, but I'm not growing them as such. It's a cover crop for the plants. So it says sow them thinly, 10 millimetres deep, in rows 30 centimetres apart. When large enough to handle, thin to 60 centimetres spacing. So I haven't got that. Let's just go for it. Let's have a sprinkle and hope. I should have enough for half the bed, I would think. So I would say all gone up to this brick here. So I have the other half of something else. So let's go for the borage. A few more seeds of these. Maybe this is just going to be an experiment for just a few beds as opposed to all the beds that I'd hoped it would be. Because I think I could probably use a lot of seeds. I have a few left, but not many. So I will rake that over again because they were quite big seeds. I wasn't expecting that. So they probably need to be planted a little bit deeper. So I'll rake them over again and see what happens. Whatever comes up, whether it's weeds or whether it's these plants, I won't know what the seedlings look like, so I'm just going to leave it. I will, come spring, I will make sure that they don't set seed, and I will cut it down from there. And I will continue to clear out the rest of the beds and see how far I can get with this cover cropping. It may be that I have to do my normal approach in some of the areas. I guess we can compare to see what works best. So there we have it. Everything's been sown, raked through again and tamped down. So hopefully we are in a good position to let them grow. I'm not going to water them. We have rain here, the soil's damp. It should be sufficient rather than trying to add further water to the beds. And that's it. I will be continuing to do this with other beds as far as the seeds that I have allow, and clearing out the beds where needed. I have perennials planted in random areas through the other beds that I really need to consolidate into one bed, but I think that's a job for next spring rather than now. Let them settle in for the winter now rather than disturbing them. But that's it. Hopefully you've found some value in this video, and if you have, give me a thumbs up and subscribe, and if you feel like it, buy me a coffee. The link is in the blurb below. And until next time, happy gardening.